adopted Vietnamese girl who lived in Belgium. 23 years, one journey back home to find her mother.
Where am I from? Who is my mother? Who is my father? Did I have siblings? Why did they left me?
On that journey,
Vietnam is more than just a birth country. Need to go search my whole life for her.
Bearing these questions in mind, Hồng Herremans has decided to return to Vietnam, starting the journey to find her biological mother. This is the first time Hồng has set foot on her mother's hometown since she was brought to Belgium for adoption 23 years ago, when she was just 3 months old. Please stay with us in our Talk Vietnam edition this week to learn more about the heartwarming story of Hồng Herremans, a Vietnamese-Belgian girl longing to find her birth mother. Lauren, thank you for joining our Talk Vietnam today.
Thank you.
And what made you decide to return to Vietnam and seek for your birth mother?
I think it started when I was 15 years old. When we had like a religion class, and the teacher asked us, like, could you describe characteristics from the outside that you inherited from your father and your mother? And I saw everyone writing, and at that very moment I was like, I don't know anything about them. And yeah, to realize that at that very moment, it was really hard for me, because I looked at the teacher and she immediately understood that, yeah, that she maybe didn't really think through that question for me then. And then I just, I cried because I was really sad that I didn't know anything.
Since you posted your story on Facebook, you received many clues and comments. And can you describe your emotional developments when you received all of the comments?
To be honest, at the beginning, I was very enthusiastic about the comments because they were so heartwarming, and yeah, a lot of people cared about someone they didn't know, and I was very surprised to see that. But at the same time, it was very overwhelming because I received a lot of messages and it took really a long time to translate it. I never expected that they would give so much about me because, yeah, I'm one of the, I don't know, maybe 100 people who has been set up for adoption. So to be honest, I didn't know that my story would touch them so much.
Have you received anything similar like that in Belgium?
No, no. I have some friends who are also adopted, and with them I can communicate about my adoption. But I feel for someone who doesn't know what it means to be adopted, it's really hard to communicate about it. Because they cannot imagine what you feel.
Can you elaborate more about the feeling of being adopted, as you just said?
To me, I see adoption really as a gift. I know for maybe many it doesn't seem like that because you just leave your child behind. But for me, it was a gift. It was like getting a second life, to get a chance to have to start over again. So I think adoption is really something beautiful. I'm very thankful for my parents that they adopted me.
Hồng Herremans was born as Đinh Thị Hồng in Vietnam on January the 14th, 1996 at Gia Lâm Medical Clinic in Nho Quan, Ninh Bình. A document certifying her as an abandoned child says her birth mother is Đinh Thị Phúc, who gave birth to her at around 8 p.m. on January the 14th, 1996. The document only gives Lauren a few clues. including the name of Dr. Trần Thuật, who has already passed away, and midwife Trần Hưng. On September the 17th, 2019, Lauren returned to Vietnam for the first time. She immediately looked for and met Hưng, the midwife who helped her birth mother, according to the document.
But do you think she still lives in the area?
Mẹ con không ở gần đây đâu. Nhất định mẹ con phải ở một tỉnh khác chứ không phải ở tỉnh Ninh Bình. Vì nếu mà ở tỉnh Ninh Bình thì sẽ không lên chỗ bọn cô đẻ đâu. Mẹ con lúc đấy chỉ độ 20 tuổi thôi. Trẻ hơn con bây giờ.
I feel so emotional because she's like the closest thing to my mother that I have right now.
Con thông cảm cho mẹ con là như vậy.
From what Hưng said, Lauren's mother gave birth to her when she was around 20 years old and unmarried. Hưng did not know any more about Lauren's mother. The next clue that Lauren is tracing, based on the document, is the Zalem Medical Clinic.
Đây là phòng khám nơi mà con ngày xưa sinh ra. Ngày xưa thì cái nhà là nhà cấp 4 cơ. Những cái năm đấy là không phải chứng minh thư, cứ đi đẻ là đi đẻ thôi. Không phải mang chứng minh thư gì cả. Thế là bạn ấy cũng có chia sẻ vào rồi thôi, đặt là Hồng cho nó đẹp. Cô cũng bảo lại với cái bác sĩ này là bảo thôi đặt tên là Hồng đi. Đấy, là do là lúc đấy là cô với cái bác này đặt tên cho con.
But I felt like when Madame Hung told me that, it was really soothing, like a band-aid. If you would ever been hurt and you would put a band-aid on it, it would soothe. But I think it doesn't heal you, so that's why I just keep looking, because I think that finding my mother heals that part that is empty.
So now you returned to Vietnam and then you met Mrs. Hưng.
Yes.
And did you have certain kind of expectation before you met her?
To be honest, I was a little bit concerned because she have helped giving birth to so many women. So I was thinking a lot like, okay, is this information that she knows about me, how accurate is this? Is she not confusing cases? So that was really my concern. Also, is it really my midwife? Mm-hmm. Is it not someone else? Because you never know for sure. But when I met her, she was so emotional. She held me in her arms, like as if I was her child, and she also cried. We both cried. And I think that if she wouldn't have been my birth mother, if it would have been someone else, she wouldn't have gotten so emotional. Mm-hmm. I think that's something, that feeling that we both had, I think it's something you can't fake. Yeah. I really feel emotional here. Mm-hmm. Because her feelings were so genuine. They were so real, and when she told me, yeah, I've been worried for all these years what would have become of you, and that's something I never really think of. I probably thought, oh, she's probably like forgot about me because she's giving birth to so many babies, so why would she care about me? But when she said that, that really touched me, because then I also wondered, like, okay, if a woman who only helped my mother giving birth cares so much about me, will my mother also think about me? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that really, yeah. She said, like, you look like your mother, and I think, yeah, she's known my mother, so that really, yeah, it gave an answer in some way, mm-hmm. to the question that I had as a 15-year-old, that I look like my mother. But she also told me that if by chance I maybe never find my mother, that I shouldn't be so sad. And for a moment it was really soothing. It gave some peace somewhere that she said that. But I still want to continue my search, even though she said it. Yeah.
So do you usually look at the documents? And what do you feel when you see so little information about your identity on those documents?
Well, to be honest, when I started the search, a lot of people, including me, we were like really hopeful because you have a name and you have an age, so and an address, so really concrete things to look for. But then when you go start the search and get more information, you realize that, oh, maybe the address can be false. And going to Somloi and everybody's telling, yeah, there is no one living here with her name. That really was hard for me because your chances minimalize. Yeah. And also it made me wonder, like, is her name correct? And if you think about it, if her name is not correct, it's going to be really hard to search for someone because you don't know where to start. Yeah.
The last clue for Lauren is a hamlet called Loi, which is stated as an address in her document. It is now hamlet number 2 in Lạc Vân Commune, Nho Quan District, Ninh Bình Province.
Đây các bà nhận đi, xem giống con cháu nhà ai. Đấy, bà nhìn đi xem. Đấy, xem kỹ giống con cháu nhà ai.
Trên Gia Lâm. Đấy, để Gia Lâm à? Hai là mẹ quê ở xóm Lội, xã Hồng Vân.
Xóm Lội này, sao anh nhỉ?
But Lauren cannot find any woman named Đinh Thị Phúc, which is stated as her birth mother's name on her birth certificate.
Mà người ta bảo tôi nhà đây mà cho tôi nhận tôi. Mà như thế vậy mà không mua nhà gì căn nhà ơi, nhà bà đây đi, bà thương gần đây.
Did you decide to continue the search?
Yes, but I realized that I would probably never would find it by my own because I don't master the language, but also because I just cannot go like from door to door and ask, "Oh, do you know my mother?" So that would have been impossible. So yeah, I understood that it wouldn't be simple. That I had to take some further steps to continue my search. Yeah.
But you still decided to move on with the
Yes.
search, despite all of the challenges it might bring. Why?
Because deep inside, sorry. I always believe that you would never abandon your child and never think about it. And if you need to abandon your child, that means that that was the very last option you had. So I just hoped that when posting the message, that if my mother would read it, she would recognize herself in it and she would contact me or maybe other people, because to be honest, I cannot believe that if you would go through something so difficult that you would have kept it for yourself. There are always relatives who knows it, or maybe best friends, I don't know. But I think that many people know that she was pregnant. So I just hope that someone would recognize himself in the story and just contact me.
Wow, even in the worst case scenario, you always had such a positive mentality towards things. You always find reason, a solid reason why your mom did what she did. Where do you have that kind of mentality?
I don't know, I always been taught to not give up. Yeah. So I always, there's like, maybe it's a really small chance that she would contact me, but even if it has to take whole my life to wait for her, I will. Yeah.
Why is that longing for, to find your mother is so strong like that?
I think because she's the one who's giving birth to me, so there is always that part inside of me that wants to go search for that. It's like a root of a plant, and you just want to find your roots. And I also wondered a lot about how she would look like, if she ever thinks of me, if she had any struggles with abandoning me, if it was her choice. Yeah, there are so many questions I have for her, and I really would like to ask her. Yeah.
Lauren received lots of information via email and Facebook messages. One of those was an email from a stranger who said she might be his younger sister. Messages from several people in Ninh Bình told Lauren about a woman who is likely her birth mother. Lauren connected the dots and realized all the information was about one woman.
There was a lot of hope. This woman could have potential because her daughter was born. Get to try to know information and then move on.
On her last day in Vietnam, Lauren decided to return to Ninh Bình once again. After asking around, she met a relative of that woman and was taken to the house where she used to live.
Well, one part of me is hoping that this family is my family.
Lauren did a DNA test with the relative of the possible mother, but the result showed no blood relation between them.
I have like mixed feelings because that means that we need to go search further, or maybe, think of other paths. Even though we also start a new life and we get a lot of opportunities to grow in things we like, in things we do, in things we love, and we get supported financially, emotionally, and ask yourself, who is my mother? Who is my father? Did I have siblings? And why did they left me? And then you go search through the papers. There's a lot of information wrong. And I feel like
So after that, you went to Hanoi, and there's a man in Hanoi who also contacted you. Can you share more about that?
Yeah. So this woman contacted me. I think it was his niece, and she was talking French. And she told me, like, we have a similar case in the family. He was together with a woman when they were young. And around 1995, 1996, she gave birth without telling him, but he knows that it's a girl and he's been looking for her for all these years. So I really was hopeful. I really thought, okay, maybe this is my father. And when we went there, they really welcomed us. I felt like, yeah, it's strange, but I felt like home in some sort of way. But then when they asked him, do you see any similarities facial? He was like, yeah, I think her forehead is similar. Our translator, like, does he see any other similarities besides the forehead? And then he was like, oh yeah, maybe her eyes. And he also said, like, yeah, she has her mother's nose. So yeah, I was really hopeful. But then when the DNA test came and it was negative, I was disappointed, because to me, that man was like a fitting piece of a puzzle. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it would have explained so many things, like, for example, why I interested in education, because his ex-wife studied as well education. She was also a teacher. And I know a lot of friends of mine whose parents are teachers, and they usually go teach as well. So that's why I was thinking of that. Yeah, and also his eyes, because I think we had similar eye shape. Yeah. So yeah.
So after going through so much different stages of feelings, from hope to despair, how do you feel right now? Do you still want to keep on the search for your birth mother?
Yes, I think so. Yeah. Although, so I gave my DNA samples, so they could, people who still recognize themselves, they can, like, check their DNA. But I know I received a lot of messages from people who are saying, like, I want to meet you first, and then I can come give my DNA. But to be honest, I don't feel like I have enough courage to visit every family and meet them, because it's so emotional, and I don't think I can do that, visit every single family that thinks they have potential to be my mother. Yeah, so.
Yeah.
I think my childhood would have looked very different then. What I maybe would have felt less is that I'm different from everybody, because that feeling I sometimes had on my school, because everybody was white. When I first came to Ninh, I felt like home, because I saw people who looked familiar like me. It's a beautiful thought. Imagine that I would have grown up here, but it's like not reality. So I think my wish is to find her and to catch the time that we've lost. Actually, we learned at school that when a child gets born, it's attached in some way to its biological parents. And that's now like 23 years. And I think the more time that will pass, the more strangers will become.
So let's go back a little bit. So you were brought to Belgium when you were 3 months old.
Yes.
Then when did you know that you were adopted?
Very late, because when I was in preschool, I never realized that I was different than any others. And I still remember, because I had like this little Teletubby, it's what it's called, it's like a little doll. And every single morning, my mother was doing her makeup, and then I was washing the face of the doll. And when looking in the mirror, I never realized that we were different. It never came up to me that, oh, I don't look alike, they're not my parents. I never realized that. And then when I got into primary school, that was the first time when people looked at me and they were like, are you Chinese? And are you adopted? And I didn't understand why they were saying that, because I never realized that I was looking Chinese. And then I got home with that question, and my parents told me that I was adopted, and they tried to explain it to me, but as a child, you don't really understand what that means, because they always said, your mother couldn't take care of you, so we're taking care of you now. But I didn't know back then what possible reasons there could be why she couldn't take care of me. I always thought that, okay, maybe they were dead and that's why they couldn't take care of me. That was like the only reason I had as a 6-year-old. Later on, I just realized that there could maybe be more other reasons why I was adopted. Maybe there was money involved. Maybe she just didn't have money to support a child. And then later on, I think a few months before I started to search, I was told by someone who is professor at a university in Seattle, but also by many other Vietnamese, that having a baby and being not married, it's such a scandal. And that's probably why she left me. So yeah, growing up, I had this little vision about why she left me, but growing older, I get more visions.
So when you knew that you were adopted, does that change anything inside you? Does it affect you?
Well, when I was younger, I always imagined that if I probably would have lived in Vietnam or in Ninh Bình, that my life probably would have been different, because my parents, they have given me a lot of opportunities, and I realized that they have given me so much, and so that I could develop. And maybe, yeah, if I would have lived here, maybe I would have not gotten the opportunity to go to college and university or do whatever my heart desires, because, yeah.
So how was your childhood in Belgium?
Well, when I was a child, I was very social, so I always had like a lot of friends. And my brother, he was 4 months younger than me, so we almost grew up as twins, and we were always together. If you saw him, you saw me, and vice versa. And yeah, we really found comfort. We always had each other's back, and yeah, we always had that feeling that together we could conquer the world. And yeah, I remember that I really wanted to go to the dance school, and my parents always encouraged me in everything I did.
I remember that we had to take a bus. It was actually a minibus to go to Ninh Bình in 1996. When I saw her, she was very lively. She was a very, very active person. She adapted very quickly.
It has been 23 years since Lauren was taken to Belgium, where she grew up in the loving arms of her adopted parents and has a good life materially and spiritually. Lauren graduated from university with a degree in primary education, and she is now pursuing a master's degree in psychology. Everything seems perfect for a girl like Lauren, but deep inside, she has empty spaces she cannot fill.
I think when she saw herself in the mirror, she saw that she did not have the look of others. And I still remember that one day she came back from school asking me, why do they ask me all the time where I was born? Why are they asking me, not my brother? At the age of 12, she realized that she was a little swarthy with black hair. So it was through others that she realized that she did not have the Belgian look.
Those were the questions Lauren always asked her adopted parents since she was a little girl. She always longs to know her true origin.
We always found that sooner or later she was going to talk about it, and that she was still going to look for it.
And that day has come, the day Lauren returned to Vietnam to search for her origin.
So, after 23 years, you returned to Vietnam. How was your feeling sitting on that plane and landed in Hanoi? How did you feel?
I was very excited for this journey because I finally get to know the place where I come from. But to be honest, I didn't have like a lot of expectations because I know that expectations lead to disappointment. So I was just like, okay, let's just discover the country and see what it brings. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And what did you discover?
I discovered that Ninh Bình is really a beautiful place, yeah. And being here also makes me feel like I'm home in some way. And the people are very kind. They always smile. What I sometimes experience in Belgium is that people offer help, but they always want something in return. And that is a feeling that I never had in Vietnam. They just do it because they want to care for you, they want to be there for you, and they don't want anything in return. And that is something beautiful, I think.
How do you feel when you were wearing áo dài and wore the conical hat in Ninh Bình?
I felt very proud, yeah, because wearing this makes me always feel very Vietnamese and special as well, yeah.
What about the feeling walking in the middle of the field?
I felt very little because these mountains are so big and the landscape is so, yeah, overwhelming. It's really beautiful, and then you just feel so little and, yeah, surrounded by such a beautiful nature. And it really gives you some sort of peace. Yeah.
What does Vietnam mean to you now?
I always thought that I would feel like a stranger here, but that feeling I didn't have. They really want to make you feel home and like you're one of them. So I never thought that coming here would really make me feel like I would have two homes. Yeah.
So how is returning to your root, where you were born, important to you?
I think it's important to know where you're from because it's a part of your identity. And during puberty, I was always searching because one part of me really wants to be Belgian, but at the same time, I cannot be Belgian because I look Vietnamese. So I feel like, especially for older people in Belgium, I feel like I always have to prove myself. Because they're always so surprised when I talk, like, oh, you can speak the language, and I feel that's sometimes so offensive. But being here is also part of my identity, so I felt it was very important to be here and to know where I'm from, to understand myself better. I feel like if I wouldn't go search for it, I would probably be wondering my whole life.
You have lived in Belgium for 23 years. However, you still feel connected to your root, to your culture, to your homeland here in Vietnam. What have you done to get closer, to understand more about Vietnam?
I learned a little bit of the language. I had a friend who did karate, and she knew also another Vietnamese friend. And when we met, we immediately became friends. And then she invited me to participate at New Year's. And they always dance and sing. And that was the first time when I wore an áo dài, and where I learned to sing Vietnamese songs. Even though I didn't understood it, they always wrote it down for me how I had to pronounce these words, and then I just learned it by heart. And yeah, that was the first time that I was also surrounded by a lot of Vietnamese people, because it's like a small community. But yeah, they treated me as if I was their sister. Yeah.
We learned that in Belgium you also grew some sort of interest in learning about Vietnamese history.
Yes, that's
Can
true.
you share more about that?
Me and my boyfriend, we watched a lot of documentaries about the war, because I think it also has formed Vietnam to what it is up until now. So I think that is very important to know about that more. But I find it very touching to see how rough it has been for most of people, because the war has destroyed so many things, and I was very emotional when seeing it, because they showed images of airplanes throwing napalm onto the villages, and yeah, that really touched me.
Lauren, what makes you most proud of being a person with a Vietnamese origin?
Because everybody that I've met have told me that I have a really soft inside, and that I'm so caring and loving. And being here in Ninh Bình, that is something that I see with every single person that I've met. I just find the same qualities, and yeah.
Suppose that your biological mother is watching this program. What message do you want to send her?
So I think by now the message that I've been searching you has reached you. I think deep inside I know that it has reached you. And when you look at this program, I just hope that you would contact me. And I hope you know that I'm not mad for the fact that you abandoned me, because as I mentioned before, you have given me a second life, and I had a lot of opportunities to grow in so many ways, but I still feel that there's a piece of me missing. And I just want to find you so I can get answers to my questions that I have. And I would understand if maybe for some reasons I couldn't be part of the family. So that's fine, but I just really want to find you and be sure that you are okay, and just find some peace. Yeah.
Is there any message you want to send to our audience out there?
If you have any information about my mother, or you know her, or you recognize someone in this case, or your family, please just encourage her or the family to contact me so we can reunite again.
Wow. Thank you, Lauren. Thank you very much for your beautiful and inspiring story. And your search for your mother is still going on. We wish you all the best.
Thank you.
And although we haven't got the end result yet, but I'm sure that during the process, you've learned more about your root, about your homeland, where you were born, Vietnam. And I hope that our audience also feel the same. Thank you very much for watching and see you next time.
Bạn hãy nói cho tôi biết chăng về họ tên mà tôi đã mang.
And I feel like quitting would be like giving up on myself, giving up on who I am and my identity.
Lòng tôi mong biết đất nước tôi.
When I was born, I feel like there was a seed that has been planted in Vietnam. Coming back here is like watering the seeds and flourish.
And my little feet that have carried me every mile of the way.
The longer I'm here, the more difficult I find it to get back home.
Who the champagne's floating mark is lights of gold. All I know of you.
And that is because I think I have Vietnamese blood inside of me. And whenever I can say I am Vietnamese, I feel very proud.
One day I'll touch your soil. One day I'll finally know my soul. One day I'll come to you to say hello, Vietnam. A Buddha made of stone watch over me.